My name is Jadane Najib, and I am president of the Muslim Women's Coalition and also the co-convener of the Wisconsin Coalition for Justice in Palestine, which represents more than 60 groups around Wisconsin that have stood up these past 4 months for peace and justice and for the liberation of Palestine and the human rights of Palestinians. We're here for the press conference as a coalition because we decry the decision by Gateway Technical College to rescind the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award to the Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism.
All right, woo!
We believe this decision was ill-informed. It was based on a misreading of a particular statement from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which I will talk about a little bit more. And it was posted on a personal Facebook. It had nothing to do with the school itself. This is an example of efforts to conflate an anti-Zionist and actually a Palestinian statement with being anti-Semitic in an effort to silence any kind of discussion about Israeli policy. It is unfortunate that Gateway administration has fallen into this trap, especially as an institute of higher education. We have a number of individuals here today that are going to speak. A few members representing organizations from the Wisconsin Coalition for Justice in Palestine. And also Lauren Byfeld, who is part of the group Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism, who had the award rescinded. I'd like to give a few thoughts on behalf of myself. I am a Palestinian American. I was born in Jerusalem, and I lived nearly my entire life in Wisconsin. I'm the executive director of the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition and convener of the Wisconsin Coalition for Justice in Palestine. I have also been the chair for nearly 20 years of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday celebration in Milwaukee. I am dismayed that Gateway Technical College's administration would rescind the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award to the Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism based on political propaganda and disinformation. The unceremonious and ambiguous manner in which it was rescinded is in clear contradiction with what one would expect from an institution of higher learning. In the same way that "We Shall Overcome" was the anthem of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is the anthem of the Palestinian rights movement. In the same way that "We Shall Overcome" offered courage, comfort, and hope as Black American protesters confronted prejudice and hate in the battle for equal rights, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is the Palestinian call for the end to Israeli apartheid, oppression, and racism. It is well known that language, in the form of words and phrases, is the basic tool that gives identity to people and culture. When colonizers use intimidation and even violence to create a narrative and insist that they are the ones who should define the words and phrases for Indigenous people, they are simply employing the same tactics used for centuries by colonizers whose goal was and continues to be the weakening of a race or people by separating them from their language and their culture.
That's right. That's right.
We are appalled that an institute of higher learning in Wisconsin doesn't do their own research and bring in Palestinians to explain their own traditions and their words and their culture, especially when a number of Palestinian students and staff are here on Gateway campuses.
Come on.
The rescinding of this award is inexcusable, not because the Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism needs another plaque, but because it shows a racist attitude towards Palestinian culture, language, and traditions. Also, because it means students and staff of Palestinian heritage, students of color, and those who believe that Palestinian lives matter are neither safe nor welcome here at Gateway. We are here to ask Gateway to restore this award because Gateway's reputation is on the line, and it will be branded as an unwelcoming institution that makes decisions based on disinformation rather than research and education. Thank you very much.
All right.
Sure. My first name is Janan, Janan, and the last name is Najeeb, Najeeb.
All right.
All right, sister, that was beautiful. Thank you, Janan. I'm Rachel Ida Buff. I'm a co-convener with Janan of the Wisconsin Coalition for Justice in Palestine, and I'm also a founding member of Milwaukee Jewish Voice for Peace.
All right.
And I want to just give a shout out to Laura because we didn't know each other, and some rando called her and said, hey, I hear you lost this prize. That's terrible. We want to do a press conference. And she and I were talking about it, and I was like, how are you feeling about this? Are you okay with this? And she said, well, I'm just uncomfortable because I don't know how Jewish folks feel. And I said, well, you happen to be talking to one right now. And I want to tell you, and this needs to be said again and again and again, that there are a lot of us. I am so proud of my Jewish heritage.
All right.
I'm happy to be a Jewish person, and my tradition, the Torah tradition, says we should do tikkun olam, we should mend the world. We should stand for every living being as equal under God's eyes. It is the most Jewish thing I can think of to do at this terrible moment in history, to stand with Palestinians in this country, and more important, to stand with Palestinians abroad in Gaza and in the West Bank. This is the most Jewish thing. My ancestors came to this country fleeing persecution from the Tsar, freeing the same kinds of anti-Semitism that we do see, but not in our movement, that we see everywhere associated with white supremacy. You know, when in Charlottesville, when I saw all those guys with torches chanting, "Jews will not replace us," I was like, I don't want to be those guys. What the heck are they talking about? I have no impulse to replace those guys. It turns out it's an 18th century theory that Jews and people of color will ally and overthrow the precious white ruling class of this country.
Come on.
So there's a little tincture of truth there, because yes, let's do that. Let's overthrow the decades of settler colonialism on this land that dispossessed its original Kickapoo, Miami, Peoria, Oseti-Sakoan owners and all the intertribal relations that shared this land because it was close to the precious Lake Michigan. So that we have a continuity between the settler colonialism that displaced those folks and replaced those folks with unfree Africans and African Americans, with desperate migrants like my ancestors. You know, that process of settler colonialism is really consistent with US $3.8 billion support of Israel every single year. Just think for a moment about our streets, our children, our schools, and what $3.8 billion would do for them. But I'm just the MC and I'm blathering on. So I want to, I made up a little chant yesterday, and I want you to chant after me. It has two parts. So, from the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Fighting for liberation is where I'll be.
Fighting for liberation is where I'll be.
A little louder, y'all. There's not that many of us. From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
People's stories of freedom are just all right with me.
People's stories of freedom are just all right with me.
Okay, so From the River to the Sea, as Janan pointed out, is an anthem of freedom. It is not a call for genocide of Jews. That is that interpretation exists in the topsy-turvy, McCarthyist, fascist world that we unfortunately occupy. I found out this morning that our sister, Santita Jackson, daughter of Reverend Jesse Jackson, was fired from her own radio show in Chicago for being critical of Biden for the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Fired for speaking out. And we are here to speak out more. We have a great lineup of speakers for you. We're going to start off with Pastor Darren Utley, member of Rescinding Presbyterian, leader of Rescinding Presbyterian Church. Pastor.
Thank you. RACHEL, B as in boy, UFF. It's like buffalo, not bus.
All
right, I'm Reverend Darren Utley, Darren Utley, just to get that out of the way. I'm also a member of the Racing Coalition for Peace and Justice, as well as pastor of First Presbyterian Church in Racine. I'll just be really brief because I think that the basics have been covered here. Unfortunately, for me, I'm not necessarily surprised at this, and yes, we can say this is an institution of higher learning, but the same thing is happening at Harvard and Columbia and all across the country. So it's not that surprising. What I want to say as a Christian representing that tradition here is that for us to believe that the statement from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, for us to believe that that's a genocidal statement, if you think about it, what we have to do is imagine the intentions of a certain people's mental state and imagine them as barbaric and savage, foreign and evil and scary. And that's called racism. All right?
Come on.
And that's what's happening here. It's racism. And so to take a Martin Luther King Award away from a group that dismantles racism on racist principles is, well, it's very American, but it's very wrong. So I want to be here just to support my Muslim brothers and sisters, Arab brothers and sisters, to say we cannot continue this ridiculous racism that covers over an actual genocide happening, where people in leadership positions are stating very clearly that they intend to do genocide. That ruling just came down. We heard that from a court. The criminal justice, didn't it say ICJ. International Criminal, anyway, you know what it is. Look it up. So I'll just end with this. My tradition follows in the Torah tradition. We come out of that tradition, and we saw over Christmas time in Bethlehem, the church there placing the baby Jesus in the midst of the rubble.
That's right.
And we as Christians, if we do not find ourselves in the places that are covered with rubble, in the places being bombed, calling out for justice, calling out for love, calling out for peace, we are on the wrong side of history. We're on the wrong side of our Savior. We're on the wrong side of the Creator. So let's get on the right side.
All right.
Beautiful words. Thank you, Pastor. Next up, we have Justin Blake of Families United. I met Justin 5 or 6 years ago. We were doing an event here with Never Again Action, which is a Jewish-led immigrant rights org, and somebody said, call Justin Blake, and I was like, I know he's a famous civil rights leader, and I'm not sure, and I called him, and he was like, I'm in. Justin is always in for justice. So Justin, thank you so much for showing up.
Absolutely.
We can't wait to hear from you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. We wanted to start off by thanking Gateway Technical College. The graduation rate from this institution has impacted the Southeast Wisconsin tremendously. And for that, we are grateful because it stimulates jobs and it keeps the economy running and things of that nature. However, my cousin moved to West Africa, to Guinea-Bissau, to swim for the Olympics, 2 or 3 years ago when the Olympics were coming, and he was unable to swim because there's some technical things. He won many swimming events up to that point, but he was unable to swim for the Olympics. So he stayed in Guinea-Bissau, and he now runs their swimming program. He gets out in the community and he does different things with the community, with adults and with kids. So the other day he sent us a picture of a baby with a chain around its head with a lock on it. With a baby with a chain around its head with a lock on it. To emphasize, let's free our minds. We have been subjected to white racism for over 400 years, not just here in the Americas, but worldwide. For any other human being to take the position overlording somebody that keeps them housed in an open jail, that can tell you I can cut your food off, that can tell you I can take your gas, that can tell you I can cut your electrical off, we say must end. And it must end now. And we must free Palestine now. Every day, hundreds of children are meeting their demise. The way the war is being fought, and with our president allowing the bombs that let go, multiple bombs in the air that were restricted from international war, to have been let go and to be utilized for hospitals to be bombed, for schools to be bombed, and for churches and mosques to be bombed. I stand here in front of you as a surviving victim of a young man who was shot 7 times in the back, Jacob Blake, in this state, in this city, to say stop the racism, stop the violence, stop it now. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. So we thank Gateway College and Sister Lori, great job on all the work you've been doing. It is amazing. We had a brief opportunity to talk to her yesterday. So I sort of wanted to, we've seen each other before, but I want to know, what do you do? Tell me more about what you do. They are advocates for African American and minority children when they've been harmed in schools. They go out during the holiday and feed people. They often find themselves gifting people, whether it be coats, whether it be toys, whether it be books. You're doing an incredible job, and you deserve this award. It's important. These people could have been anywhere in the world right now, but they're standing constantly every day with Palestine until it's free. This is going to change the way the world is ran the next 100 years. This whole little situation in East Gaza and throughout what we refer to Palestine, not Israel, it's Palestine. And when you have the power of white racism to come in and rename a place, it's Palestine. Everybody say Palestine. 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 So when you refer to that side of the world, you call it Palestine, call it what it is. Nobody has the right to colonialize a place, take over all of what it has, its people, and then rename it. That's the Americas. We live in it. And African Americans know we've been the conscience of this country over 400 years, and we refuse to stop being it till we get it right. So we're going to keep fighting with our Palestinian brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters, our Arab brothers and sisters, and our Jewish brothers and sisters that are here today. This takes all the ecological following of all churches, all religions to stand up and say, this isn't really about religion, this is about humanity. And no religion that we know of out of the book, the people of the book, you know who I'm talking about, or otherwise would subject themselves to what's happening. So if it's wrong for you, it's wrong for anybody else. And as Chairman Fred Hampton said, who passed, famous Black Panther, I am a revolutionary. You may be able to kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. So we continue to stand with Palestine. We continue to stand with these beautiful coalitions led by these great leaders. And we're gonna, if we have to go to some local place around here and get a plaque printed up with Lori's name on it. The work that they've done cannot be belittled, cannot be overlooked. No one individual. See, we're in a time in the world where everybody wants to be an autocrat or to have all the power in one hand, like in Russia. No one man should be able to make one call and send one email and stop an award that's been handed out over what we understand 30 years plus. So give it up for Gateway. They've done a wonderful job. We're not here to kick their door in it. We're here as brothers and friends of this community to help them get it right. Something went wrong, and we're here to help them get it right. The award should go to the sister. She's done wonderful jobs. We hope that the award continues on and goes to other people who are doing work that Martin Luther King himself would be proud of. So we honor you, dear sister. It's a pleasure for us to be here. We were supposed to have been in Chicago kicking off Black History Month on Michigan Avenue for a press conference, but we decided to be here. Just as though we took ourselves to DC sick as hell and ended up in the hospital when we got back, because this is about saving lives. So when you go to sleep, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddha, say a prayer for that little kid that's under the rubble. That it can get out of the rubble, live a life, go to college, educate themselves, and make their people better. Because until they have the opportunity to do that, they're not free. And Martin Luther King himself said, if we're all not free, if one person's not free, none of us are free. Free, free Palestine! Free Palestine! Big ups to the red, the black, and the green. Unity now, one Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. That was beautiful. Just gonna lower this. Oh wait, here we go. That was easy. All right. So you want to hear about anti-Semitism? How about there are 10 million displaced people after World War II, and Europe decides, we're not gonna have the Jews here. We're gonna carve out some land in Palestine. And the United States says, oh, we don't really want them, right? So from the very beginning, the founding of the state of Israel was anti-Semitic by Europe, right? So the same racism fought by our next heroic speaker, Laura Bielefeld, that is what founded the state of Israel, right? So this notion that it's anti-Semitic to critique Israel, let's just open our borders and take refugees in and stop creating like special ethno-nationalist states for them. But I digress. Anyway, Laura, I think Justin talked about the work that you do so beautifully, and it's been such a privilege to meet and work with you. We're going to hear from Laura Bielefeld herself. She did not get to speak at the award ceremony, but maybe this is even better.
All right.
Woo! Woo! This should be okay. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right. Thank you. You have all been amazing and beautiful, and I appreciate all of your support. So, let's go. While it is true that I am the president of the Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism, I am first and foremost human, and it is in that capacity that I speak here with you today. The Burlington Coalition for Dismantling Racism has fought tirelessly to expose, disrupt, and dismantle racism within the community of Burlington and surrounding areas. BCDR was birthed from the pain and tears of Black and brown students and their families. The members of BCDR have spent countless hours speaking with students, their families, school staff, administrators, city officials, and quite frankly, anyone who will listen. As most of you here today know, our cries usually fall on deaf ears. That deafness has not slowed the work of BCDR. We have continued to advocate for our Black and brown students, and that will not change. It is through that advocacy that we have partnered with many in our community and others to repair and rebuild that community. BCDR believes representation matters. Yearly, we donate books and Colors of the World crayons to classroom libraries. So not only all students of color can see themselves represented in their classrooms on a daily basis, but so that their white peers also learn to see them, hear them, and most importantly, value them as they value themselves. We also sponsor a Black History Month and Art Essay Contest for all Burlington students in both our private and public schools. We have donated backpacks, school supplies for students in need. BCDR, in partnership with local business, has brought Juneteenth to the community of Burlington.
All right. All right.
We will be celebrating our 5th year of Juneteenth this year.
All right.
We recently partnered with our local library on book clubs and discussion on Stamps from the Beginning by Jason Reynolds and Ibram Kendi. Amazing book. If you haven't read it yet, please do so. The scope of BCDR's work is much greater than mentioned. We will continue to hold space for not only Black and brown students and community members, but all oppressed people to tell their stories and have the difficult conversations necessary to affect change. I'd also like to remind everybody that Dr. Martin Luther King spoke very, very eloquently on what peace actually is. If peace means a willingness to be exploited economically, dominated politically, humiliated and segregated, I don't want peace.
Come on. That's right.
If peace means being complacently adjacent to a deafening status quo, I don't want peace.
Come on.
If peace means keeping my mouth shut in the midst of injustice and evil, I don't want peace. I'm sorry. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, but the existence of justice for all people.
That's right. Yes.
I started out today reminding you that above all I am human, and it is in that humanity I cannot stay silent in the face of genocide. I will not be silenced by accusations of anti-Semitism. I leave you today with the cry to free, free, free Palestine!
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 Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more speaker, and I just want to say I met the indomitable folks from the Rescinding Peace and Justice Coalition about a decade ago when Wayne Johnson, who's not here today, invited me to speak to his class at Parkside. And I've come to know them as these, they're just amazing comrades, organizing whirlwinds. They really helped us figure out where in fact this campus is and where we should be standing and what we should do there. And I'm delighted that they've made such a strong showing here. So our next speaker is Sonali Knotek from Rescinding Peace and Justice. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. And it is SONALI and Knotek, KNOTEK. So most of what I had written has already been said. So I will shorten my speech and just want to say that in rescinding the Martin Luther King Humanitarian Award from BCDR, Gateway claimed that BCDR did not reflect the spirit of the MLK Award, which purportedly is, quote, to honor peace, fairness, and equity. This has no merit. At an anti-war rally in Minnesota in 1967, a year before Dr. Martin Luther King's untimely death, he spoke about the indivisibility of justice, famously stating that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
That's right.
And he continued to say that he is concerned about justice for everybody world over. BCDR's tireless efforts to educate and interrupt racism in the Burlington community are well documented. BCDR members' understanding of the relationship between the oppression faced by different minorities is completely in line with the oppression that Dr. King fought against. Gateway's decision to rescind the MLK Award from BCDR not only goes against Dr. King's legacy, but also shows Gateway's narrow and contrived understanding of what peace, equity, and just fairness means. The Rescinding Coalition for Peace and Justice requests that an apology be extended to Ms. Bielefeld, and the decision to rescind the MLK Award to BCDR be reversed. Also, we ask that Gateway sever ties with defense contractors such as aeronautics. And finally, for the sake of peace, fairness, and equity, we ask that Gateway call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you for being here. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
So yeah, thank you so much, sister. That was beautiful. And we invite the folks working there to come on out and talk to us. We're not scary. And Justin advises that maybe we all give a call to the Gateway administration today and say, hey, we were outside. Somehow we missed you and you didn't come out and hang out with us. But we do want to say, hey, please restore the prize. Please come talk to us. We'll come down, we'll have coffee, we'll explain why this is not a big scary movement, but a bunch of people who want to stop killing children.